So, Maryam, you want to come up and let you guys get started? Give Maryam a big hand. Yeah, she's not feeling well and doing this while she's sick, so give her another big hand.
Thank you so much. I am sick, so if I sneeze very loudly into this microphone, I apologize. As Jay said, my name is Maryam Al-Hammami, and I am the store manager for the Microsoft very small kiosk that we have right now at South Park. We do have plans to, expand, and hopefully we'll have a large store one day. We'll grow up. But as a kiosk, we still have the ability to help in any way that the IT professionals here in Charlotte need. We go to schools, we go to partner events, we come here, anywhere that we can evangelize about Windows 8. And of course, the thing that we're the most proud of is the Surface Pro and the Surface RT. We are more than welcome to come, and we do training classes. So anything that you guys need, please feel free to pick up the phone and call us, come by the kiosk. We give training classes for free on Windows 8 and Windows 8 phones, so that when you have your device, you know how to use it. Tonight, Dylan, because I'm not going to stand here for more than like 2 more minutes, Dylan is going to talk to you guys about all the Microsoft this year has really put out a lot of new products. And a lot of products that people are a little fearful of. Windows 8 is a little different than its predecessors, and is a little, even for those technologically inclined, is a little complicated at first glance. Office 365, moving all of our Office products into the cloud for all users is also huge. 2013 Office products are amazing. If you are still, which many of our customers are, on 95 and 97, 93, didn't we see one the other day, you will be very surprised at what Excel and Word can do for you today. Just this morning, I was able to take a Word document, which he's going to talk about, move it, our PDF file, in my 2013 Word. As soon as I put it into Word, it changes it into a Word document. I make all my changes that I want to make, change it back to a PDF file, and send it off. That is amazing, because prior to this, it would take me 20 minutes and 3 different programs to get the changes I wanted in PDF. So there's a lot of exciting and great changes that can really, truly impact your life on a professional and more personal life by using our products. And you're going to hear Dylan talk a lot about the ecosystem that Microsoft is really, really focused on. And using all of our products together within the ecosystem really does make a big difference in the way you do things on a daily basis. I can pick up my Windows 8 phone and change an Excel document that is emailed to me, or I pull out a SkyDrive that I started working in the morning, and I can make changes to it and send it off to a client. I do all of my POs, all of the sales that I do them right off of my Windows 8 phone. Those are things that we couldn't have done a couple years ago. I don't even, as a manager of a very small kiosk, I don't have a desk or filing cabinets. So everything I do is done on the road or on a very small portion of the kiosk that they let me stand at with my phone and maybe my Surface if there's enough room and not enough customers. So being able to do everything from a virtual office standpoint is amazing. So keep an open mind as you hear all the changes today. It really is worth your while. I'm going to tell all of you to get on board with like the Office 365, because there's no words to describe how much it changes how you do things when I can go to your house and pull up my document, or stop by a Kinko's and borrow their computer and pull up the documents that I forgot at home before I left on my business trip. It changes the way you do things to be able to access your information all the time from a safe and secure location in that magical ecosystem that Microsoft calls SkyDrive. So without further ado, and before I sneeze on you guys, Dylan is going to go through all of the intricacies of our ecosystem. You ready?
I'm born ready. guys. As Maryam mentioned, my name is Dylan. I'm a product advisor that works with her in the Microsoft store in South Park Mall. I do highly encourage, if you guys are the least bit curious about anything that I talk about here today, please come by the mall and see us. Like she mentioned, we really are here to help, and we work really hard to develop quality one-on-one relationships with every customer that walks through our door, so to speak. We don't really have a door, But the point being there is that every individual person matters to us, and I'm here to show you guys all of the really, to overuse a word that Maryam likes a lot, amazing ways that everything that Microsoft has come out with in the last year can really improve both your work and your life. So without further ado, I'm going to pop up here and get something set up for you guys. So, title of my presentation is New Microsoft Solutions, and I'm going to show you guys again all the ways that they can help improve your channel, whether it be a business, a nonprofit, personal use. It can really take every aspect of your life and improve it in almost every conceivable way. And there are some really exciting changes, but probably the most important thing to keep in mind is the whole concept of an ecosystem. And I like to say things like, it's all in the family, because with our products, we consider them to be part of the Windows family. And each individual cornerstone of that family, whether it be Windows 8 on a PC or a laptop, or tablets like Surface RT and Surface Pro, even Windows Phone, and even Xbox, they all work together. And Microsoft is the only organization that has a foothold in every corner of your digital life, whether it be a 4-inch smartphone, a 10-inch tablet, a 15-inch laptop, a 20-inch desktop, or even a 55-inch TV. Wherever you go, Microsoft goes, and we go there in broad new ways. So everything works better together when you keep it in the family, and this is the new Windows family of devices. I'm going to go through each individual little aspect, but first, the most important aspect, kind of the unsung hero of our Windows ecosystem, is SkyDrive. And I don't know how many of you have used SkyDrive or are familiar with SkyDrive, but SkyDrive is Microsoft's cloud storage solution. But in reality, it's so much more than that, because SkyDrive is what keeps all of your information, your contacts, your emails, text messages, pictures, applications, settings, everything you can possibly imagine that a computer can generate, it keeps track of for you. And finally, for the first time in my life, as an avid computer user and tech enthusiast, I have really realized that we've come to a point where there's no hassle in computing anymore. Gone are the days when you have to write an apology to somebody because you showed up to a meeting without the proper materials for it, because it's going to be in a SkyDrive. Any computer, tablet, smartphone can access all these files on demand at any time, and it's really exciting. So the big theme behind SkyDrive is that it's simple saving. You can do many things, but the most important ones are done for you. The first thing I mentioned is that by default, if you're using the latest version of Office, all of your Office documents are going to save directly to your SkyDrive. So what that means for you is, again, the example of dog ate my homework just is not going to cut it anymore, kids, because now it's nearly impossible. You have to go out of your way to lose your information. And that's exciting just for the simple fact that I can't tell you guys, and I'm sure you all are very closely aligned with me on this one, but how much of a difference it makes to be able to go to a place and confidently say, I have all of the tools that I need to really wow you guys. And I'm not speaking as an individual, for you guys. And I touched on this briefly earlier, but anywhere that you have an internet connection, you have access to your SkyDrive. So in today's modern era, you're going to be hard-pressed to be without any kind of connectivity. So as long as you have a digital pulse, you have all of your stuff there with you. It's kind of like having a digital shadow that incorporates everything that you do on a computer or a smartphone or a tablet or a PC and brings them around and follows you everywhere you go. So no matter where you are, they are too. And one important thing that really distinguishes SkyDrive from our competitors is that whatever file type, whatever you want to save into your SkyDrive, you can. So other ecosystems might limit you to things like pictures and documents, which are arguably the most commonly used things. But sometimes it's nice to say, hey, I have a zip file here that's got an executable that's going to help me make my servers run faster. And instead of having to find something to lug it around in, with one button, it's in my SkyDrive, and I can pull it down anywhere. And a lot of people's concerns, especially when it comes to cloud data, is safety and security. Microsoft, a name like that really has to evoke a lot of emotion and a lot of concepts for people like you guys who have been working with our company for years and years and years. And you, more so than anybody else, can really understand that if something's in your SkyDrive, it's safe. Just because it's in the cloud doesn't mean it's easily accessible to people who wish to do you harm. Microsoft keeps its data centers regularly updated with all of the latest security policies and anti-hacking mechanisms to ensure that your private data remains just that, private. And the social aspect that SkyDrive really brings into the lives of a modern Windows user is the ability to easily share your information. My best example that I always love giving is I did a study abroad last semester, and I got to go to Milan. And not many people get a chance to do something as amazing as that. And luckily for me, this was by the time I had heavily invested in the Windows ecosystem, so all I needed to bring was my Windows Phone. And I was able to take a photo diary and capture all of the amazing sights and sounds in picture and video that I saw while I was traveling. And with literally 2 taps or 2 clicks, all of my friends on Facebook have access to that entire folder, so they can kind of experience it with me. And I don't have to feel like I'm alone in a foreign country where I don't speak any of the language. So to kind of bring that home, we talked about how all of the different Microsoft devices and services are kept in sync by SkyDrive, and they are. No matter where you are, all your files, devices, they're always going to be in sync all the time. And with that, I kind of want to switch gears a little bit and move on to Windows 8. Now, this is everybody's favorite topic to discuss because when I say Windows 8, usually the first 3 things I hear are, where's my start button? What's this crazy interface? And then people see it and say, well, this just looks like an iPad, doesn't it? It's kind of interesting the way that Windows 8 came about, but in the Windows 7 era, we did a lot of research, and as it turns out, most people would carry around a Windows 7 laptop to do work on, and then they would also carry a tablet around with them for consumption and for entertainment value. And up until now, tablets just haven't gotten to the point where they can completely replace a computer. I know the term post-PC era gets thrown around a lot, but realistically, 95% of all businesses run on Windows infrastructure. The PC isn't going anywhere anytime soon, guys. So with Windows 8, that being said, what we did was we took all those features that a tablet has to offer, like a touch screen with a customizable background and targets that are easy to hit with the finger, and we kind of put a little Windows spin on it, and we gave you things like live tiles, which I'll talk about in a minute. But the most important thing to realize is that Windows 8 is really no more than an improved Windows 7 that also has a tablet interface on top. So you still have your familiar desktop that everybody knows and loves and uses in Windows. The only difference is now we give you more options. Now you don't have to be using just a computer. With just one button, touch the Windows key, you go from a desktop to a start screen where you can have applications that will update in real time with rich content. It's like having a personalized billboard. And I can do that at the same time as maintaining my familiar workstation and using all of my familiar programs. And also what's really great about Windows 8 is the way it really simplifies your day-to-day life. With Windows 7, obviously it was built to be a rock-solid foundation, and for what it was an amazing operating system. And I know many of you out there are still using that today. And you're probably thinking in your heads, well, I'll never switch to Windows 8. Why would I? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But with Windows 8, we've actually made a lot of under-the-hood improvements. So it's basically like having that same desktop, just a faster, more reliable version of it. And with Windows 8, you have exciting new ways to do something as simple as launching a program. It used to be, bottom left corner, let's click the Start button, we'll go to this folder, that folder, there we go, there's our program. With Windows 8, I can eliminate, those hassly steps out of my life. And one example that I like to give is how easy it is to launch applications. From a start screen on Windows 8, literally all you have to do is just start typing, whatever you want, whether it be an internet search or a contact's name. you can just start typing and every relevant result on your computer will appear instantly. So in this case, I don't know where my Outlook is on this screen. I don't see Outlook. I'm not used to Windows 8, but I can just start typing Outlook and it's going to appear right there for me. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do the digging. It does all the work for you, and that's really the beauty of it. So I want to talk about a couple of the different devices now that Microsoft is offering in addition to the software that you guys have all come to know, love, and depend on. The Surface Pro is a really exciting product for Microsoft, and I can't tell you guys how great it is to be a part of Microsoft at such a pivotal time for our company, because we were founded in 1975, and we have a 38-year history of making software, nothing but software. And with Windows 8, since it is so dramatically new and brings a lot of innovation to the table, we thought that our OEM partners, while we do love our Dells and our Gateways and our Acers, that really who else but Microsoft is going to best know how to implement all of the incredible new things and features and tools that we've given you than us ourselves. So we actually went, and for the first time in our company's history, now we are a PC manufacturer too. That's not to say that your Dells or Gateways or Acers or whatever you use are going to be obsolete compared to us. Absolutely not. Everybody knows that competition fosters innovation, and we're no exception to the rule. So our major innovation of this decade is going to be the Surface family of products. If you guys aren't too familiar with them, I'm going to go over and brief a little bit about the Surface, and then we'll hop right back into the software side of things. So a lot of people, they already have established laptops and tablets that work for them, and people will come up to me all the time and say, okay, I will concede your point. The Surface is an amazing product, but why? Why should I switch? What's the main benefit? Well, if we go back to my earlier example, if you're a road warrior, or if you spend any time at all outside of your office, carrying more than one thing with you can get to a hassle, especially if it's that one thing oftentimes is not only one thing. You can bring a laptop, but then, it's only going to have a 4-hour battery life. You're going to have to bring your charger. And what if you run out of space because you're working on an older machine? You're going to have to lug around an external hard drive too. But in this day and age, all that stuff isn't necessary. So the main reason that I kind of put here to go pro is that it really is a more productive way to use computing. I can't tell you how many people were extremely hesitant to try a Surface and how I've had them come back to me and say, Dylan, wow, you were absolutely right. This thing is incredible. I don't know why this hasn't been on the market for years, and I don't know why I'm just now finding out about it, because it makes my life that much easier. And from a business standpoint, since I know a lot of you here are business professionals, productivity is something, obviously, that's going to be on the forefront of your mind. You want to be working for your business in such a way that you're not wasting time and money and effort of a lot of people. And among a brief survey that was conducted recently by Nielsen, they came to the conclusion that users of the Surface are actually reported by both themselves and their superiors to be more productive than users of other tablets. A lot of that has to do with the fact that the Surface Pro is a full Windows PC. And that's a really exciting concept, because never before have you had a computer that kind of puts the brains behind the glass instead of behind the keyboard. So it enables, and it's definitely a flagship for all of our partners to realize, like, hey, Windows 8 is designed to do amazing things, so we don't have to rely on the same tried and true form factor of the notebook. It was a fantastic invention. It has served both you guys and myself very well over the decades it's been prominent, but in this day and age, sometimes it's just not necessary. And Surface Pro offers also many unique benefits to your individual channel. First and foremost, being able to join domains and work groups. Show me another tablet that can do that. I dare you. And you can. But the Surface Pro, it's got pro in the name. That's not a coincidence. It was designed for the professional in mind. Whether you be a professional businessman or a professional graphic designer or a professional gamer, it really doesn't matter what your profession is. The Surface Pro is definitely there to help you become a better computer user. You're not a machine. And it's compatible and easy to integrate with existing infrastructure. So you don't have to worry about the hassle that oftentimes the whole bring your own device concept will bring, because it's a Windows 8 machine. It's going to have the same security policies and It's going to operate the same way that your Windows 7 and Windows XP and Windows Vista machines do now. There's no loss in translation there. And again, to hammer home the important point of the fact that it is a full PC. Anything that you guys have been able to do on a desktop or a laptop for the past 30 years, you can now do on a tablet with the Surface Pro. So imagine being able to kind of cut the cord and really have a device that weighs 2 pounds, that has a 7-hour battery life, that you can extremely easily carry around with you everywhere. And for me, I think I'm a great use case for the Surface Pro because I am a road warrior. I'm never in the same location twice in a week. I do presentations like this at various different locations. We do device bars, and sometimes I even work in the store. But more often than not, that kind of mobility is really demanding, especially if I have to rely on a laptop that really has trouble keeping up with me going around everywhere and doing all these things in new ways. But with the Surface Pro, I don't have to. It's a tablet and a laptop and a desktop all in one. It really is the first time that you can have one machine that can power everything that you do. And I really cannot understate the importance of something that powerful. And then, of course, it does support the same legacy Windows desktop programs that you already know and use today. So you have nothing to lose by trying out this amazing new piece of technology, only a lot to gain. And then since, again, we're a bit of a technical crowd in here, I decided to throw up some hard numbers so you guys can kind of compare it to your current rig. For those of you who can't see, I'm just going to rattle them off in brief. I'm not here to bore everybody. It's not a lecture. The processor, we're working with a quad-core i5, which is more than capable of handling most of today's demanding applications. You're going to have 4 gigs of RAM built in, which, unless you work heavy with server virtualization, should be more than plenty for you. Storage comes in either 64 or 128 gig solid-state drives, which, if you guys haven't upgraded to those, it will blow your mind. My Surface Pro, from being completely dead, I can start it up, boot to the desktop, ready to go in 5 seconds flat. If you guys are still on XP or on Vista or even on Windows 7, time it. See how long it takes for you to log in and get to your desktop where it's ready to go. It's not going to be 5 seconds. I mean, just not having to wait, just being instantly on and instantly there when I want it to, that's a reflection of the modern era because we're not, machines were made to serve us, not the other way around. And then a couple of exciting new things are full Windows Touch support along with an active digitizer pen. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the second part later, but if you guys haven't used a Windows 8 touchscreen device or even a Windows 7 touchscreen device, you're going to be really impressed with how fluid and how well it works. We definitely have gone through leaps and bounds to ensure that the touch experience on Windows 8 is the best available on the market because Microsoft heavily invests in research for natural user interfaces because as useful as a keyboard and mouse is, sometimes it's easy to just say, I want to click on that link, or I'd like to look at this video. And once you kind of get the hang of interacting with your computer in ways that you'd never really thought of before, you're going to sit back and think, wow, this just makes sense. Why haven't I been doing this for years? In terms of security, it supports full BitLocker drive encryption. So for those of you who handle sensitive data, if you're accountants for important companies, or if you have a lot of stuff that you'd just rather keep private, it's not something you have to worry about because out of the box, it's going to have industry-leading protection on all of your data. The screen itself is also definitely a sight to behold, no pun intended, but the Surface Pro screen is 10.6 inches diagonally, but it's a full 1080p resolution. So if you guys have high-definition televisions at home, imagine all that detail and incredible viewing angles and amazing picture that you get out of your 55 or 32 or 100-inch TVs at home crammed down into something that you can almost carry in your pocket if you're a carpenter. It really does make a big difference. And then in terms of connectivity, we've got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, the latest revisions of both. So it supports low-power accessories like mice and keyboards, as well as faster internet connectivity for Wi-Fi. I haven't been hardwired in probably a good 4 years or so, but most modern laptops, even on the higher end today, don't have an array of antennas that can even hold a candle to the ones that are in the Surface Pro. It uses 4 antennas that speak bidirectionally, so it evens out to be about 2.5 times faster than your average $1,000 Ultrabook, and it's less than that in price, and it's capable of doing much more. You have a USB 3.0 port that, since it is such higher bandwidth compared to USB 2.0, that with one cord you can power 2 external displays and a printer and a mouse and keyboard and 5 other peripherals of your choosing. I've seen some amazing USB 3.0 docking stations that really simplify the whole idea of having that one machine that does everything, because you can plop it down on a desk, plug in one cord, and you're working with a full desktop. And if you didn't know that you had a Surface Pro right there, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, except for you'd be wondering probably why it's so crazy fast when it didn't used to be. And then for audio video, it comes with a mini DisplayPort out, which is capable of supporting high-definition resolutions up to 2560 by 1440. So no matter what size screen you want to show your creations on, like your PowerPoints or your Word documents or your Photoshop designs, your canvas is only limited to as big a space as you can find, because it supports the maximum resolution that a computer can output today. And then, of course, software is always an important part of a computer. And I did touch on this earlier, but just to reiterate, the Surface Pro is a full PC with all of the power that comes with that. So you can do things like run a full version of Office, or have support for rich content delivery systems like Flash or Oracle's Java, or even Microsoft's own Silverlight that you can't get on many other competing platforms. In addition to any other software that you currently may use or need, like server management stuff, database stuff, individual financing stuff, whatever it is that keeps your digital life going and in order, the Surface Pro can run it. And then Office 365. Everybody's favorite productivity suite has undergone a huge facelift for 2013. And with Office 365, it's really the best way to get all those new features that work to simplify your workflow and give you powerful tools so that even the greenest of novices can turn around and create amazing content. A lot of you are still in the mindset of, oh, I'm on Office 10, I'm on Office 07. I don't want to have to buy a new one, because to get all the suites that I need, I'm going to have to spend upwards of $300, $400, $500 for a single license. With Office 365, you don't have to. We really cut the entry cost to $99, but the kind of weird thing there is that it's subscription-based. And for a lot of people, that throws up a red flag like, whoa, 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 I pay for Office once. I want to pay for Office every year. But the benefits of being a subscription service are that, A, your out-the-door cost is going to be phenomenally cheaper. B, with Office 365, we do have a lot of incentives that really make it worth your while, like tripling your amount of SkyDrive storage that you get for free, or giving you 60 Skype World Minutes per month so you can make calls anywhere around the world and keep in contact with your important business contacts, or in my case, my aunt who moved to Kuwait to teach art school. She was a very close member of my family, and outside of the occasional phone conversation that was difficult to coordinate, being about 10 hours apart, now I can call her at my convenience and at hers, and I don't have to lose that familial connection just because of a couple continents in an ocean. It's definitely exciting. And then, of course, the best part of Office 365 is that you get 5 licenses to work with. So those are going to be able to be installed and taken away at your whim. So any of you guys who administer any kind of Office deployment, it's a godsend, because you don't have to individually monitor each suite on each employee's computer. Or if you're a personal user like myself, it just definitely provides an easier way to, I have a mom who's not very computer literate, but she needs Office to be able to do the things that her work demands of her. And since I've got 5 licenses, it's really easy for me to say, here you go, Mom, let me come over to your house and tap 2 buttons on your computer, and you have all the latest stuff right at your fingertips. It's amazing, and it's platform agnostic too. It can be installed on either PCs or Macs. And since Office 365 is subscription-based, every time there's an update to the software, you don't have to re-buy it again. All the latest updates and new features will instantly stream to your client, so that you're always going to have the most powerful, up-to-date tools at your disposal without any extra effort on your part besides maintaining a yearly subscription. And Office 365 really embodies the whole concept of a complete office in the cloud, or as I like to call it, an office without borders. Not to be affiliated with the very humanitarian efforts of doctors in Africa, but Office without borders means that no matter what device you're using or where you are, you're not going to be without your information. So for a presentation like this that took me many some odd hours to put together, and on the way here, I tend to be a bit nervous when I get on stage. I have terrible stage fright, and hopefully you guys haven't noticed, but if you haven't, you probably will before it's over. But for me, I was able to make all this on my computer last night, and on the way here today, pull it up on my Windows 8 phone and review each slide so I can be more confident about the information that I'm sharing with you guys. And just as an individual, that's definitely helped me overcome a lot of obstacles that I find in my line of work, having to do things like this on a regular basis. And for you, the ways it can simplify your workflow are exponential. You guys have all come to know and rely on Microsoft products and services being in the professional industry. And Office 365 is just our latest way to make it that much easier for you. And the coolest thing about the new Office is its new applications. The three major key points that the Office team likes to constantly talk about in every single communication they send out is smarter apps, cloud connection, and touch optimized. The cloud connection part we've grazed on. Office is now incorporated with SkyDrive, so all of your Word documents are going to be available across whatever you're using. And not only that, but you're going to be able to pick up exactly where you left off. If you're reading a 68-page dissertation in Word, then it can be kind of difficult to get back into it, especially if you get about halfway there and have to take a train home and move stuff around. But with Office 365 and with the smarter apps and the cloud connection, it'll keep that track of it for you. So even on my phone, when I open up a Word document that I worked at home, it says, hey, do you want to pick up where you left off? Boom, page 14, paragraph 3. It's just that easy, and it's one less thing you have to do. And as I go on with the presentation, you're really going to notice how each of these individual things will make that one step a little bit easier and the next step a little bit easier, and they all build together as part of the Windows ecosystem to really make it to where your life is completely hassle-free. And I'm going to say the word hassle about 30 more times because I know no good synonyms, so please excuse me there. But smarter apps. Let's talk about what's new in Word. Word 2013, as Maryam touched on, probably the most exciting feature to those of you who have to work extensively with documentation is PDF reflow. The ability for Word to natively support the Adobe PDF format and open it directly into Word, preserving all of its formatting, and you can make your individual changes wherever you need and go back and save it directly as a PDF or even convert it into a Word document. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I personally have had to painstakingly work to recreate each individual table and format each individual block of text to make it exactly the way my boss wants it, even though he sent it to me in a PDF and I have to work with it in Word. And then read mode is really interesting too because, like I mentioned, a lot of times people will now be digitally distributed large documents they're expected to review. And it can get really tiresome to just scroll that mouse wheel page after page after page after page. But with read mode in Word 2013, you don't have to look at that anymore. You actually get an interface that's clean. It takes off all those things that are in your way, distraction-free, and formats it exactly like a book. So you can just read it as though you're reading through pages. And if you're using Windows with touch, you can naturally swipe through and have a pleasing page-turning animation go along with you. You know, it's the little things like that that really show the attention to detail that we've put into each individual one of our amazing software suites. And Excel 2013 has probably got to be the biggest time saver of all. If you guys haven't heard of the feature called Flash Fill, if you do anything in Excel, from little stuff to huge management projects, Flash Fill is going to be your best friend from the day you install Office 2013. Because with Flash Fill, the new Excel, tying into the smarter apps thought process, it analyzes data as you enter it. And it can smartly recognize patterns in your formatting to where you may have, 300 entries that were imported directly to a spreadsheet from a website. And maybe it's your job to filter those out and break them out into individual pieces of information like name, address, phone number, and email. And when all those are grouped together, it can be really hard, especially from a visual standpoint, to break that down, and also really, really time-consuming. But with Flash Fill, all you have to do is just start typing, and it says, hey, he's pulling out names in this list. And then it'll automatically go down and fill everything in that list for you. So what used to take probably a good 300 cells of type a word, enter, type a word, enter, type a word, enter. Now, you type in the first letter of the second cell, it picks up exactly what you're trying to do and does that for you. I've timed myself with extensive spreadsheets to see the amount of time that it saved me, and you guys would be surprised. We're talking cutting hours off of your workload, which frees you up to do more things with your data instead of filing through it, like visualizing it. Because the best way to gain insights from data is to look at it and how it relates with other data. And that's another one of the ways that Excel 2013 really helps you out. Because with recommended charts, it can take any set of data and, again, smartly analyze it and say, hey, this would be best formatted to show differences in a bar graph. And it'll actually give you live preview. So all it takes is a mouse hover, and you can see the best way that you feel your data will be represented and choose that without having to, again, manually go through each individual step. So hopefully you guys are kind of starting to see how a lot of these things are really designed to just take the step-by-step out of it, take the monotony out of it, almost take the work out of it, but I wouldn't go that far. And then PowerPoint, which I personally love all of these features because I live and die in PowerPoint. This is 98% of what I do in a work format, is make PowerPoints and present. So with Presenter View in PowerPoint, it's an incredible new tool, that allows you to actually see what's going on and be a little bit more in control of your presentations. With Presenter View, it shows you what your audience is looking at, what you have coming up next, and then you can actually save your slide notes. And maybe if you have a couple important things you want to hit on, like I don't have anything here on this slide in particular, maybe a bad example. But let's say, for example, you have a slide and it's talking about some really important sales figures and there's a lot of data on it. And, you know, sometimes it's not the most entertaining thing in the world to sit down in a chair and have a guy on stage talk to you for 45 minutes about sales figures. So I can highlight those 2 or 3 key points and remember, and they'll stick in my head, and I'll see them right here on my screen, even though you guys can't see any of this. You're just seeing this, but I'm seeing everything. So I can make sure I hit those key points. And more importantly, keep on a time schedule, because in the top left corner, it also tracks the amount of time you've been giving your presentation. So you don't have to worry about, oh God, I've covered my material in 20 minutes and I have another 20 minutes just to free up with a question and answer or a personal story. You know, I can, especially from a presenter's standpoint, it makes it a lot easier to kind of gauge your amount of time spent on individual slides and individual information so that you know that you're not going too in-depth on one thing or you're not going in-depth enough on another. And then the ability to present online. That alone is amazing. With PowerPoint 2013, after you've put your presentation together, all it takes is File, Share, and you can create a link and instantly do a webcast where even if the people that you're presenting to happen to be in California or in Japan or in Russia or even 30 minutes down the road but can't be bothered to leave their houses. With Present Online, you can actually handle PowerPoint presentations over the internet with that same presenter view earlier, so you can definitely keep yourself more organized doing so and really help you more easily relay that information to people that may really need to hear it but may not be able to physically be there. And again, that's tying into the whole Office Without Borders, because now that's just yet another one of the tools that says, hey, you know, we don't have to all come and drive across town and meet in a boardroom for 10 minutes to discuss results, because I can send you guys a link in your email and we can do it from the comfort of the couch. I don't even have to put on pants. I mean, what more could you want? And then Outlook. As I'm sure all you business professionals know, Outlook is keeping your life in order for you. I mean, it's got all of your appointments in its calendar, and it's got all of your to-dos in its tasks, and it keeps all of your people in one place and lets you, organize them in ways that make sense to you, and of course provides you a good, clean email interface. So with Outlook 2013, we've introduced the concept of peaks. And with peaks in Outlook 2013, and you can't really see it in this screenshot here, but I'm sitting here in my email inbox, reading stuff, and then if I want to see what else I have going on, I don't have to jump from where I am and lose my spot and wreck my thought process. I can just bring my mouse down here and hover over any individual calendar or people or tasks and get a brief preview of what I've got going on for the day. So again, it's just you're not juggling 3 or 4 different things or different windows because everything is handled from one central location. It makes your life easier. That's the ongoing theme here. And then inline reply. This may be not a huge thing for most people, but for me, I personally found it extremely annoying in Office 2010 where every time I wanted to reply to a message, it would pop up with a new window and cover up my inbox. Well, what if I wanted to use information that I was looking at in my inbox? Or what if I'm doing other things on my screen at one time? You know, it's the 21st century. We're going to be multitasking. Outlook 2013 actually allows you to reply to emails right in the inbox. So you don't have to worry about having a separate pop-up cluttering your screen. You can literally click reply and have all that right there, again, without losing your place or without anything being more complicated than it has to. I'm going to stop there for a minute, and we're going to do a short break for you guys just to get some food, go to the bathroom, talk amongst yourselves. We'll be back in about 5 minutes to finish up on Office and then talk more about some exciting hardware.
I was asked to survey you guys when we come back, so I'm going to survey you guys. Does anybody have an RT device, like either a Surface RT or one of our partner RT devices? Any tablets? Oh, we got 1, 2. It runs on RT and not Windows 8? Do you understand? Does everybody understand what the differences are that Microsoft's come out with? It's Windows 8? So it's Windows 8 RT. Oh. RT is runtime, so it's a different processor. And we've had a couple.
Yeah, I can jump into that real quick.
Okay. We have 2 Surfaces. We have the Surface Pro and the Surface RT. And the Surface Pro is a computer. Microsoft has a hard time naming things, right? So we have the Surface Pro, which is a tablet, or which is a computer that looks like a tablet. Then we have the Surface RT, which is a tablet jumbo, you know, having so many more things than what you would expect on an iPad, like a USB port, the ability to run Flash, Office preloaded. So it's more than a tablet, but not quite a computer. But the difference is, a Surface RT, when it runs on RT, then you have like 10 to 12-hour battery life, like you would expect from a normal tablet, which is a big benefit. It's lighter and thinner. Because it's not running on an Intel processor like our Pro is. So how many of you have iPads? There we go. Well, not as many as I expected. Good job. No, I'm just kidding. And how many have you have moved over to Windows 8? Wow. How many are still in XP? I didn't even want to mention Vista. We're celebrating Windows 8. We don't want to talk about Vista this week. I'm going to leave it on to you now.
Thank you. All righty, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to continue with Office 365 before we jump into a bunch of our other exciting stuff. So far, does everybody feel like we have a pretty accurate grasp on all the cool things that 365 and Office 2013 offers compared to past versions? Excellent. If you have any questions, I want to hold them until after the remainder of the presentation. We'll do a Q&A session. But thank you for your interest. So moving on from Outlook. Then we have, a bunch of the other Office apps that not everybody uses every day. And I kind of want to highlight a couple of the benefits of them, just maybe turn you guys on to something you weren't aware could make your life that much easier. OneNote. I mentioned earlier that I live and die in PowerPoint, but I would not be able to live and die in PowerPoint without OneNote. If you guys haven't used it before, OneNote is a note-taking application, as the name would imply, but it's so much more than just that, because it actually gives you the tools to do all sorts of things and bring all your information into one place. I like to start with the Send to OneNote tool that's a part of Office 2013. You'll notice that first option, screen clipping. So let's say, for example, I'm doing some quick research and I get some really important statistics that would be extremely relevant to a presentation that I'm putting on. I can just hit the Windows key and N, bring up this menu, tap S for screen clipping, and I click and drag, and then that information is instantly saved to a page in my OneNote notebook. And then perhaps the most powerful tool of the Send to OneNote is the ability to actually directly incorporate any information from any other Office application. So if I'm, for example, if I'm working on a PowerPoint presentation, like the slide I showed earlier that has statistics of the Surface Pro users being more productive, well, I didn't make those numbers up. I got them from somewhere. And that graph didn't make itself. It had to be formatted in Excel. So with the Send to OneNote tool, I was actually able to make that spreadsheet with those statistics that I found, and with one button, put it in my OneNote notebook, and then organize it with all of the other information and graphics and text that I have in my presentation, and really incorporate it and make it a natural part, a fit of all that data. And you can also bring Word documents directly into OneNote, obviously Excel spreadsheets. You can bring PowerPoint presentations, both sections or individual slides, directly into OneNote. And even tools from Access and Publisher, which, if you guys haven't heard of those, I know a lot of you haven't. I didn't before I got 365. We'll be talking a little bit about those later. But it's just that amount of versatility, being able to take any piece of information in any program on your computer that you're looking at and put it in a place that you can organize. And I've said the word organize at least 4 times since this slide has been up. But what does OneNote really do to make organization more powerful and easier? Well, OneNote works by dividing your information into 3 categories. You have notebooks, like the work notebook I have up there. You have sections, like all the different events that I have listed up there. And you guys can see yourselves. Look at you, Carolina Pro. Woohoo. And then from sections, it also goes down and has individual pages. So since we have some students in the room, I love using OneNote as an example for students, because for students, this is going to make your life infinitely much better. Because with OneNote, let's say, for example, you can have a notebook entirely dedicated to biology. And then in each different section of your notebook can be a different subsection of the study of biology. You can have a section on reproduction, a section on biodomes, a section on virulent diseases, whatever you're learning. You can keep track of that. And then each section has individual pages. So maybe if you're in your biodome section, you could have a page for tundras. And you could, do a quick Bing search for a tundra, use your screen clipping tool, put that picture right in there along with a brief description of what makes it a tundra. Or you can have, a section for a desert. And again, screen clipping tool, Bing search, picture of desert. It's organizing your information. I mean, I can't make it sound easier than it is, because it's so simple, but its simplicity is really where its power lies. And perhaps the best thing is in the top right, under my name in the corner there, you'll see a little search box. The best part about OneNote is that every individual bit of information you enter into there, whether it be text, picture, audio, or video, is searchable. OneNote is so intelligent. You can, and I do this all the time. I've tried it myself. Being a college student, I can be in my classroom, and I'll do an audio recording of a lecture while I take some handwritten notes or some typed notes on the side. And then I save it, and on my way home, in the background, in SkyDrive, that magical little place up in the sky where Microsoft keeps all my files, it's taking that audio recording and analyzing it. And that's tying back into the concept of smarter apps yet again, because now, by the time I get home, I can search for any individual word that my professor said in that recording, and it'll bring me right to that point in the recording. And it'll even give me the option to convert the entire thing into text to make it easier to review later. I mean, just simple things like that. I mean, you would have to go out and buy crazy hundreds of dollars worth of dictation software and speech analytics software to get anywhere near the amount of functionality you're going to get out of OneNote as part of Office, along with all of the other tools that really make your life easier. And then moving on to a couple of the lesser-known Office apps, Access and Publisher. How many of you guys in here have actually ever used Access or Publisher? A fair amount of you. Awesome. Dude, give you guys a hand. That's amazing. You don't have to clap with me, but I'm proud of you guys, because I had no idea what Access and Publisher was about before I got Office 365. But I know, right? What kind of ignorant Microsoft employee doesn't know that stuff? But with Access in 2013, it actually allows you to directly tap into big data. And those of you guys, since we are IT professionals of the Carolinas, you know that big data is really the next breakthrough in terms of how we're going to organize and think and really draw conclusions. Big data, we're talking about things like hundreds of millions of users worth of information and statistics and all these crazy, incredible, important things that you can literally have on your screen with just a few clicks. I mean, you can take that information and then go on and use it to maybe improve your business in certain aspects based on trends that you see from big data. Or you can, again, turn that around and using a student as an example. I mean, there's big data that's been accumulated from thousands of educational institutions that you can use to really maybe fine-tune the study guide for a work or for a course. And then Publisher is amazing if you are trying to get yourself out there. You know, I know a lot of you guys maybe were kind of self-made in that you really had to start and hit the ground running and do your own thing. And Publisher, especially 2013, gives you professional templates. So, I mean, it's always given you a couple great options, but now that's the forefront of Publisher. So now, as soon as you launch the application, you're presented with an entire field of every possible kind of paper communication or digital communication you can imagine, from things like advertisements to invitations, banners, reports, anything that you want to have printed or electronically displayed somewhere. Publisher is going to help you do that, and it's going to help you do so in such a way that, again, even if you've never used Publisher before, which 2 months ago I hadn't, and now I'm to the point where I can, with a couple clicks, make something that looks really professional, elegant, and refined without having to have a lot of knowledge of inner workings of graphic design or, ever having to open up Photoshop or even learn it, which can be daunting to a lot of people. It was to me when I tried. And then the collaboration aspect of Office. And this is by and far my favorite part of Office 2013 is utilizing tools like Lync, SharePoint, and not listed here, but Exchange. Because you can use all of these things to really keep your thumb on the pulse of your organization. And, I mean, with Lync, it's extremely easy. For those of you who don't know what Lync is, think of it like almost an instant messaging platform, but for your business. It's professional, and it ties into your back end. So, I can very easily hop on, my PC or most of the time my Windows phone, log into my Lync 2013, and if I have a question that I need to be addressed by Jerry Roberts, the SVP of Microsoft Retail, I can actually see if he's online like a buddy list and send him a quick instant message like, hey, Jerry, I'm doing a presentation for the Carolina IT pros tomorrow, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Give me some pointers. That never happened, obviously. I'm pretty prepared, right? But just the simple fact that it makes it so easy. And not only is it designed for one-on-one, but also big team collaboration. You can see here, we're doing video chatting. So think about, again, the whole aspect of not having to get off your couch or having to drive all the way across the city to spend 15 minutes in the boardroom. With 2 buttons, somebody can set up a Lync conference and email a link out for everybody else to click on and join in and instantly be able to start exchanging information and ideas and concepts and thoughts. And not only that, but also something not pictured here, but one of the coolest things about Lync is the ability to do screen sharing and live document collaboration. So if I'm hosting a Lync conference call, and let's say, for example, I'm hosting a Lync conference call with, Maryam, my boss, and a couple other my coworkers, and I'm like, okay, guys, this is the PowerPoint that I've got for tomorrow's presentation. I want your pointers. And I can go ahead and say, maybe give Maryam edit properties. So then she can go and I'll review my slides, and then she can say on our Lync call, hey, stop for a second, and draw a circle on something and say, you need to revise that or reword that. So just having those tools available to you, especially if you don't work by yourself, which a lot of us, let's face it, networking and social is a huge, huge part of the IT community. Being able to just collaborate intelligently like that just simplifies your life, again, so much more. And then SharePoint, especially for those of you who are small business owners. With SharePoint, you can actually make a professional-looking website without knowing the first thing about HTML or Java or any one of those myriad of programming languages that can take years and years and years to learn and master and perfect. With SharePoint 2013, you can actually see here, this is the interface that it gives you when you're building a website. So you pick your background and you pick your pictures and arrange things the way you want. And just do so in such a low-level way that you don't ever have to write a single line of code. You can just take a picture that you like, click it from your desktop, drag it over, and it's on your website. And then, again, you can use that and collaborate with all of your coworkers and maybe draw from their experiences or their thoughts and ideas. And then the cool thing about Link is that it's available cross-platform. So you're not talking about just sitting in front of a PC to have a conversation. You can access Link, like as seen here, from a tablet or from a smartphone. And again, it's one of those things where it's platform agnostic. So if you need to be in a Link conference call with your bosses and your coworkers, but you have an iPhone, that's okay. You can get Link for your iPhone or for your Android phone. Same as you can with SkyDrive. You know, you're not going to be able to get the full Windows integration without buying into the phone part of the ecosystem, but we're not going to preclude anybody from having these powerful tools at their disposal. So, you know, Link available for everybody. SkyDrive, same thing. Anybody, anywhere. So it's really great how things like this can be made extremely, extremely easy to put in your hands and let you do with them what you will. And then speaking of the Windows Phone, I know I personally didn't see a lot of you guys out there with Windows phones. I saw a couple, and I'm pretty proud of you guys. You know who you are. But a lot of you guys have never really taken a second look at it because, you know, oh, I've had an iPhone for a while, and it does what I need it to do. Or I have an Android phone, and I like what it does, and I see no reason to change. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Well, with Windows Phone, it really kind of takes all those conventions people have about the modern smartphone and blows them completely away. With Windows Phone, it ties into your office. So, like, again, we touched on earlier briefly that I can, you know, sit here on the subway coming to here today and review my presentation so I'm not going to freeze up here and forget what I'm talking about. Or, you know, I can actually, Maryam loves this example, and neither her nor her daughter are here, so I can freely pick on them. But about 2.5 weeks ago, her daughter Amira was doing a presentation for her 3rd grade class on islands. And, I mean, she's a 3rd grader. She's never really had much experience with Office. But Maryam has Office 365 at home. So, again, those powerful tools being made so simple that even a 3rd grader can do it, she was able to use those and create a really, there she is, a really great presentation about islands using, you know, the tools that she's never before in her life interacted with. But the end result was still something professional, clean, and polished. And then her mom was able to, while she was working at the kiosk, sit there on her Windows Phone. And since their accounts are tied on SkyDrive, as she was doing her project, Maryam was looking along on the phone and saying, oh, you know, that picture needs to be aligned a little bit differently, and kind of just fixing that. Or, you know, rewriting a passage or changing an animation. And she's able to do all that, collaborating in real time with her daughter, who's sitting at home doing a school project while she's working. Just that ability to pick up and go. I mean, I'm going to say words like simple and easy 1,000 times, but that's really the point I want to get across to you guys, is that when you have an ecosystem like Microsoft's that offers you so many things, products and services for every corner of your life and every interest you have, both professional and personal, being able to use all those together and in ways that, you know, just 5 years ago no one would have ever thought possible. It's amazing stuff. And the coolest thing about Windows Phone is that if you've upgraded to Windows 8 on your computer, you don't have to learn anything else. With the entire new Windows ecosystem, you have a consistent look and feel across all devices, services, and platforms. So even if you're using SkyDrive on an iPad, it's going to look exactly the same as my SkyDrive on a Windows Phone. Or if you're buying a Surface for the first time and you've never used Windows 8, but you have a Windows 8 phone, then you're going to say, oh, okay, so these are live tiles, and this is how that works. It looks exactly like your start screen. And that's not an accident. It's designed to where once you learn it once, you're a master of everything. You don't have to learn and relearn different platforms, and there's no separate nuances to pick up on. It's simplified, and that's the best part of it. And the ability to kind of tie the aspects of personal and professional into one phone. Just like, you know, any other Windows device, you get the best of both worlds, both the capacity to work well and play well. And with Windows Phone, it's a unique combination of the two, because with my Windows Phone, I'm just as likely to be playing a game on Xbox Live, which for the record is Uno Attack with my neighbor across the street who has yet to beat me. And I'm just as likely to be doing that as I am, again, reviewing a PowerPoint presentation on the train. Or, you know, jumping on a conference call in Link to, you know, learn what's new with my comrades in the Microsoft kiosk world. And the cool thing is having all those people, all those individual contacts in one place together. but still separated. So it's not so combined that you're going to accidentally text your boss something you meant to text your friend and have to have that awkward conversation in the office. Enough combined to where all of your contacts are very easily within reach, but not so easily to where it would cause problems. And then probably the greatest thing for guys like you and gals like you is mobile Outlook. So with Windows Phone, you actually have Outlook that works with all of your same calendars and has all of your same contacts. So it's really easy to get a calendar invitation on Outlook on your laptop and accept it and walk away and never think about it again. But with my Windows Phone, it's always there to remind me. And it'll go off 15 minutes before, and it'll say, hey, dummy, you forgot you have a link call in 2 minutes. Get on it. Simple things like that. And then, having applications, a rich application marketplace, that's going to be the make or break for any platform. And Windows Phone is no exception. Windows Phone has all of those main apps that people want out of their devices. Things like, if you don't like OneNote, then Evernote is a great alternative. Or, music players like Pandora, or social networking like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You have all those familiar applications, plus some new really great ones that are exclusive to the Windows Phone store, things like Microsoft Dynamics CRM. If you guys use that, I can get that on my phone. That's awesome. I don't have to live in front of a terminal because I can manage all of my client relationships directly from my phone. So even if I am on the bus reviewing a PowerPoint, I'm not losing touch with my customer base. An office without borders again. And then it's the most conforming to corporate BYOD programs. So if you guys are part of organizations that are just now starting to say, hey, we realize you have iPads and you have smartphones and you have other tablets and you want to bring them, that's fine. And if you're using a Windows tablet or a Windows phone, then you're going to save your organization a lot of headaches because they're not going to have to jump through as many hoops. Chances are they're running on Windows Server in the back end. So you can say, hey, I've got a Windows device. Is this going to work? Heck yeah, it is. 2 buttons. Done. And it supports corporate level management and policy too. So if you're in the position where you're the one who administers smartphones and makes the buying decisions for your team and your subordinates, then you can say, hey, look, I'm going to give you all you guys Windows phones, so you're going to be able to have your office everywhere and never have an excuse about losing that spreadsheet on Monday morning like I've heard 1,000 times. But I'm also not going to let you sit there and download apps like Angry Birds because I want you to be productive when I'm giving you things like that. Simple aspects like that, just that fine-tuned control that you can have both as an administrator and then the comfort you can have as a user knowing that your device is just going to work. Let's face the reality of it. Microsoft and Windows products power, again, I said earlier, 95% of the modern world's workforce. Why would you want to neglect that? And being able to have a device that works so well in the corporate world and also can just as easily be great for entertainment value or for social connectivity, there's a lot that can be said for that. And one really cool feature of Windows Phone that I like to tout is something that's called Kids Corner. And the way Kids Corner works in Windows Phone, I'm sure at least one of you has had a problem to where, your son or daughter or niece or nephew, whomever, says, ooh, you have a phone, I want to play Angry Birds, gimme. And you're okay, sure thing. And then you get your phone back and you realize they emailed all 300 of your coworkers that really embarrassing photo of you from summer break. No one wants that to happen, but I'm sure a similar occurrence has happened at least once in your lives. With Kids Corner and Windows Phone, it actually gives kids a sandboxed area of your phone, almost their own subsection, like having a different user account for a phone to where they're not going to have access to your cell phone or your email or your contacts. But they are going to have access to educational games and office tools and productivity things that you want them to have. So you don't have to be fearful when you're letting them engage with technology to learn in new ways because you know they're not going to ruin all of your corporate relationships that you've been working years and years to build. And I kind of mentioned here a productivity mode through the use of Kids Corner, which is something that I personally do because I don't have any kids, but I do have a Windows Phone. So my Windows Phone can go from being personal, all about me and music and friends, to being all about work. This is the same exact phone, and all it takes, you guys probably won't be able to see very well from way down there, but for my unlock screen, I just swipe over, whoops, and I have my productivity mode. And then all of my work stuff is going to be right there for me to access and to use. So then I can actually access my SharePoint, or have Yammer, which was recently incorporated into the Microsoft family. Or even, again, the example of CRM, which some people have to swear by, and I'm one of them. Just being able to have that in my phone to where I can create a distraction-free environment with just a swipe of a finger. So if I'm at the office and I really have to buckle down and get these 29 slides done so I can present to you guys today, I'm not going to want my friends to text me every 30 minutes asking to go out for a drink. Or I'm not going to want my mom calling every hour on the hour saying, oh, I ran into this problem with my computer, can you please help me? While I love my friends and my family, sometimes it's nice to be able to work without all those distractions. And through Kids Corner and my own unique spin on it, productivity mode, I can have that on demand. And then Office Mobile. Just having that ability to take those PowerPoint presentations or those Excel spreadsheets or those Word documents and open them right from your pocket. But not only that, but pick up where you left off and kind of have that office without borders to where, let's say, for example, I forgot to make a slide 28 and I skipped over something really important that I wanted to share with you guys. Well, since I have a Windows phone, I can pick up my presentation, throw another slide in there, make sure it fits, and even have the power to add transitions and advanced background effects. Or, you can see here, even on your phone, Excel, graphs look the way they look on your computer. And you can do all those advanced formulas. It even has a quick button, just a one tap and, equals sum A2 through Q8, or whatever you need to do. And then you can take that same information and interact with it the exact same way that you would as if you were sitting in front of a computer. But maybe, you're not in a setting that's conducive. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten yelled at by my girlfriend by having my phone out at dinner because I'm actually doing work, Not that I'm not paying attention to her. It is awful. I'm sorry. Ladies out there, I'm sorry. But it's really convenient just to have that. Instead of, bringing a full laptop with me to O'Charlie's and slapping that bad boy on the table and looking like I don't belong, I can just, to other people, it may look like I'm sending a text. But to me, I'm refining my presentation so I don't look like a fool in front of you guys, Just those options and those tools being at your disposal no matter what you have in your hand or where you are, the benefits to that are endless. How many times have you left the house and realized, oh, crap, I forgot to print this. I'm not going to have this file. I'm going to get yelled at. Well, no, you're not. You've got it in your pocket. You can email it to yourself or to your boss right from your phone or make edits to it if you need to. That kind of powerful new way of thinking that the Windows ecosystem is providing you with. And then, of course, everybody's favorite browser, right? Internet Explorer. Always get laughs out of that one. I love IE, and Internet Explorer 10 is awesome. And you guys probably haven't tried it. We had some Windows 8 users here, and I'm really proud of you guys. For others, if you've been using IE8 or IE9, you're using program and software that's really outdated. So yeah, maybe it doesn't look so great stacking up next to Opera or to Chrome or to Firefox. But Internet Explorer 10 gives you all these amazing tools, and it's the most modern web browser available. It's the fastest to launch. It regularly beats Chrome and Firefox in speed tests. It's the most standards compliant, so you know that your plugins and your extensions are going to work. I don't know how many of you guys in here have ever developed for the web, but, in most cases, you're going to want to develop primarily for Internet Explorer because whether or not that's your browser of choice, that's what the most people in the world are using. We still have people that are on Internet Explorer 6 for crying out loud. So you have the full gamut there. And Internet Explorer is fantastic because you have all that power, and it's not limited to just your PC anymore. You can have the full power of Internet Explorer 10 on your Windows 8 phone or on your Surface, to where on my phone, I can get a web page to render and look exactly the way it looks on my desktop at home without having to install any additional software or jump through any additional hoops. It's just 2 buttons, settings, desktop mode. Because I know a lot of you out there, myself included, at times when you're using smartphones or tablets especially to navigate the web, you're not getting the full web experience. And you're really treated like a second-class citizen because as soon as that browser or that website detects that you're using a mobile device, it's going to instantly go from www. To m. And you're going to get none of that great rich formatting. And you're going to see none of those, pictures or graphics or even interactive things like Flash the way they're meant to be seen, because it knows you're using a mobile device. And in some cases, maybe your device can't handle it. But with Windows devices, you can. So, on my phone, I'm looking at web pages that, I pay my bills on my phone. And I couldn't do that with my old phone because I had no way to escape that mobile view. And maybe that website wasn't optimized for a phone. And it was extremely hard and not at all user-friendly. So with, again, 2 taps, I completely eradicate that problem. You know, again, it's taken the time to identify issues that people have had with computing over the last generation, not just with Windows 7, but with Windows XP and Windows Vista, and even the people who are still, for some reason, on Windows 95, or even our buddies on Mac OS X. You know, we're not excluding you guys. Just to have a browser that can really experience the web the way it's meant to be experienced. You know, the internet was designed to be a rich platform for delivery, for knowledge, for information, for entertainment. And why would you want to settle for a second-class experience of that? You know, there's no need to settle anymore. And that's really the beauty of the Windows ecosystem. So that pretty much covers most of what I wanted to talk about with you guys today. And I know we have a little bit of extra time. So what I'd like to do is kind of open up the floor for a Q&A session. I know we went over a lot of material here today, and I'm sure some of you guys might have questions about it. So if you do, please, now's the time. Raise your hand, and we'll talk about it. Go ahead. Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up. A lot of people, with Word 2013, you don't have to have Adobe software installed to use that. The PDF reflow feature of Word 2013 is natively supported, which means that you don't have to go fumbling through Adobe Reader X or Acrobat or whatever other proprietary software you don't want to have to learn. With Word 2013, it is your PDF reader. You know, you don't have to rely on third-party software to get that done because it's right there as part of your Office. Thank you. Yes, sir.
If we subscribe to Office 365, and I've got an RT tablet and Windows Phone, how is that going to look? Am I going to get the new Windows apps? Am I going to get added Windows apps for the RT version and the Windows Phone added? Or am I going to have to use the web apps?
You can't, with RT and the phone, you can't download Office 365. That's why with the RT device, Office is preloaded for free.
Yeah, but are they going to have Metro? I know you're not supposed to use Metro, but are they going to be able to get Metro apps for Outlook?
As of right now, it's not something that's been put out there. And, I mean, speculation, I can really go either way with that. But as of right now, there's no Metro version of any Office application because that would really hinder its level of productivity.
Quite honestly, I could live on the start screen if they would let. I mean, if they're, if I could.
Right, and right now it's kind of an interesting time in computing because we have the people who are ready to make the transition from the traditional desktop as a workstation to something more modern. People like you who can live on the start screen. I'm one of them outside of Office. But right now it's kind of a transitional period because we're introducing the new. I'm with. Yeah, but. It is a transitional period. Windows 8 was designed to really help ease in people who still are on older version of Windows and still are, familiar with the desktop and don't want to have to undergo that change. It provides you both interfaces, both the modern user interface that operates off of apps and tiles and your traditional desktop. This is, again, speculation, but that's the trend that computing is going towards these days. It's going to be ultra-mobile. It's going to be touch-friendly. It's going to be, information-centric. And our start screen in our modern UI is our best way to encompass that. But we realize a lot of people, especially IT professionals, remain firmly grounded in the desktop. So for right now, there aren't any plans to migrate Office from a desktop environment to a modern UI environment. But by no means am I going to outrule that for the future because that's the trend. And I have no doubt that maybe with the next Windows 9, Windows 10, maybe there won't be a desktop anymore because there won't be a need for one. But fantastic question. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Your online PowerPoint presentation, does that use like Windows Live Meeting in the background? Do you have to have a Live Meeting account to be able to utilize that function?
Good question, and no. It actually uses SkyDrive. As with all of Office 2013, it's using SkyDrive as the medium to connect all of you guys there in the background. So if you're doing an online presentation, the link that you're sending all of your presentation participants is actually a SkyDrive link. And it's basically a live collaboration of the document, only unless you expressly state they're not going to have editing properties. So they'll see what you're doing, but they can't change what you're doing unless you give them permission to. Nope. All it is clicking the link, and it takes care of everything in the background. Good question. I'm going to come back to you. Yes, sir. OneNote was, correct me if I'm wrong, introduced with Office 10. I'm not sure if it was in 07. Okay. Office 07, thank you. Introduced in Office 07. A lot of those features there, like the sections, the pages, things like that, the organizational structure of it largely has remained unchanged. But the ability to do things like directly import Excel spreadsheets or PowerPoint slides, that's a new feature. The whole concept of the example I gave with audio, being able to kind of do it on its own, transcode that into searchable text, that's a new feature. And then those are basically the gist of it. A lot of stuff has been done under the hood to make it really easy to import things to OneNote. The biggest thing is now with Office 2013 installed, with instead of file print and going to a printer, you can actually do something called printing to OneNote, where whatever document or page you're looking on, instead of printing on physical paper, can be copied and all of its formatting preserved, even if it's a website, directly into your OneNote notebook. So yeah, fantastic question. And if you've never used it before, it's amazing software. I mean, you get a free trial of Office if you go on the website. I highly, highly recommend it because you'll use it for a day and you'll think, wow, how did I ever live without it? Yes, sir. Right.
What was the purpose of that? And Microsoft knows about it because today, if you post that comment on TechNet, your post will die within hours because so many people have raised that issue. I mean, this customer's got $800 27-inch IPS panels. This isn't a phone. This is a real professional desktop.
Right.
And they can't read the toolbar and the ribbon because it's gray text.
Right. Well, with that. That's kind of two-factor. The main text in the ribbon now in 2013 is gray. That was more of a design consideration than anything else, just for the fact that it's not so obtuse as direct white on black would be. And yes, that is to its slight detriment, maybe not as readable to some users. But that's just something that was made again as a consideration for design, and it passed through the extensive testing that we offered for 365 for Office 13, and without too many people bringing it up as an issue. So I feel like your scenario might be the minority of cases in where, for the majority of people, I'm sure that a couple shades lighter of the black on the white background might not be a huge game breaker. But I can definitely empathize with those who would feel like it is.
Part of the problem is actually it's the older monitors.
Oh, no, these are IPS panels. These aren't TN panels.
Are they touch?
No, they're not touch.
The way that touch is developed with the pixels and the way that it does change the colors and the ability to have more definition. You can have more definition now on the new Lenovo Yogas, and if they touch the way that they've developed and I'm not technical, so
did not know that. It's interesting. Thank you.
Anybody else want to do that when they install Office 2013? Does anybody have Office 2013?
We've had some complaints from people who are testing it right now, saying that it is
For the colors?
yeah, the colors and that is feels like it's running together.
We set notes up for retail to the different divisions because we are the face of Microsoft, so we get all the complaints, which is good.
I'm going to add my voice to the complaint thing when I run the 2013.
Okay.
But thank you for bringing that point up and addressing it. I'll go back to you.
Do you know if they ever got the reporting to work in Access, but it uses the web app and SharePoint online?
When I got the what to work? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Access,
Right?
does the reporting work now? In the preview, it said reporting will not work during the preview.
Yeah, no, in 2013 in the full version, it does generate reports the way it's supposed to, yeah.
When it's being used as a web app online within your Office 365 environment?
I haven't used the web app version of it personally. I've only used the desktop version, so I can't say for sure whether or not that feature's in the web app. And I do apologize for that, but that's just something that if it's not present, then a lot of it is we've developed the web apps in such a way where it's more convenient for a lot of people to use those web apps, especially on machines that can't run Office or just don't have Office installed. But at the same time, if we gave everything to everybody for free, we wouldn't be a company anymore.
Oh, this is if you're using that to develop for SharePoint.
Oh.
Look at their examples that they have. They all have a place for reports, but even back in 2010, clicking on a report like you got from SharePoint, and it's because the reporting uses SQL services report.
Right.
And they couldn't figure out how to break that down because of the whole handling online. Or it's fine if you got an in-house version of SharePoint. Just doesn't work with the online.
Okay, well, I definitely haven't experienced that, but I will look into that. And if you want to get up with me after here, we can exchange information. Maybe we can come to a conclusion for that. But thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Microsoft said yes, it is on the once the small business is deployed on March 1st.
Right.
You have access to it
And to the reporting
in the web.
in the web. Okay, thank
There you go. Thank you. Yes, sir. Goatee.
Yes, my question is, would you please take a moment to distinguish 2013 from Office 365?
Yes. Thank you. So I use a lot of those terms interchangeably. Office 365 is a subscription service. It's not a product. So like, for example, if you subscribe to Office 365 and you download Office on your computer, you're downloading Office 2013. The differentiation there is that if you want just Office 2013 software, then you're going to go out and buy it at an individual box in retail. It's going to have, or online, and it's going to have one product key for one machine that, as of 2 days ago, is now transferable if necessary. But it's a process. And then, when Office 2016 comes out, if you want the features that are included in it, you have to go out and buy Office 2016. Whereas with Office 365, since it's a service based on subscription, for as long as you subscribe to Office 365, you'll always receive the latest releases of Office. So in this case, it would be Office 2013, but in 3 years, it would still be called Office 365. You would just be downloading Office 2016 for free. Thank you. Oh,
Follow on to that.
sure.
In the enterprise environment, we're not inclined to store all our stuff or let my users commingle their stuff with company stuff on board from.
Sure.
So it seems that a lot of this functionality of SkyDrive is false. I've also noticed from other postings that when you load SkyDrive, the first 4 places by default, everything's in SkyDrive. If I'm in an enterprise environment, how am I redirecting that to local file server?
With Office 2013, there's actually the deployment and management tools for your organization if you're the administrator. You can actually individually fine-tune every Office application for every distribution of it to maybe not allow it to save to SkyDrive by default and maybe save locally or save to a networked resource. And to differentiate, there is a difference with SkyDrive and then SkyDrive Pro, which is integrated with SharePoint. SkyDrive Pro is more of allowing your individual users to collaborate with the organization without throwing their personal data out there, whereas the regular SkyDrive is on an individual per user basis. But good call out. Yes, sir.
What's the trick in Windows 8 to get two applications up on the same screen? And also, how do you browse your open applications on
I was going to show you, but you got some music going on. I took your earphones out. So you're going to have to listen to the music, too. I don't know if you can see. So we're going to listen to the music. So you have the one screen with some beautiful music. And then you just...
Yeah, if you don't have touch, then you would bring your mouse to the top left corner of the device, of your screen, and then move it directly vertically down, and it pulls up that app list. And then from there, you can click on an app or a program and drag it, and then it'll activate the snap feature. Yeah, but good call out. Yeah, and I would like to take a minute to address, obviously Windows 8 was built to be ready for all forms of input. It supports pen, touch, keyboard, and mouse, as well as voice commands. But on all machines, you're not necessarily going to have access to all those features, especially if you're upgrading older equipment to newer operating systems. So while there are new and exciting ways to control Windows via touch, you're not going to be excluded from those same controls or precisions or advancements if you're using keyboard and mouse. Typically, with touch, you're making use of the borders of the device, whereas with keyboard and mouse, you're bringing the mouse to the corner, like the top left corner or the top right corner, or right-clicking or dragging. So every Windows 8 touch sequence that activates some sort of setting or property can also be done with keyboard and mouse. And if you'd like more on that, again, we can go one-on-one afterwards. But thank you for bringing it up.
I use both because Microsoft, they give us our laptops, and I have Windows 8, but it's on a Windows 7 machine. So I go back and forth between using the mouse with my laptop and my Pro and my Surface RT where I'm touching. And while that is very confusing, especially if you're going from one to another, because I tend to touch the wrong screen, it is really intuitive because you just go into corners
And good point. But Windows 8 is going to use many of the same drivers for Windows 7. So if you have a machine with 7 and you have a USB peripheral or Bluetooth peripheral or whatever you choose, and if it works with your current Windows 7 machine, it's going to work with Windows 8. And Windows 8 has actually been designed in such a way where, previous versions of Windows, especially 7, kind of solidified the concept of being able to plug and play and not worry about drivers and things like that. But with Windows 8, it's actually taken a step further. And there's a generic driver in Windows 8 for every kind of peripheral imaginable. And if it can't find the one from your particular device using its information when you hook it up, then you can very easily assign it a generic driver and have it work exactly the way it's intended to.
We did learn something from the Vista.
Yes, sir.
I've heard that there might be some work going on with, I guess you say, a dumbed-down Windows 8 for the XP transition. There's a lot of laptops running XP that you cannot run Windows 8 because of the DirectX demands. And you can't add a graphics board to those laptops.
Right. And that is something that's being looked at. Something that's, something I can't comment on, unfortunately.
At Microsoft, we are not allowed to speculate on future endeavors. It is not in the best interest of our company.
Well, the problem is if it waits too long, they're not going to wait on Microsoft. They're going to go to Google or to Apple or something else. They just can't wait, to next March to make a decision.
Right, and I'm in complete understanding with you there, and I really wish I could comment on it, but I signed a lot of documents that would get me in a lot of trouble if I say certain things. So I do enjoy working with Microsoft. I want to stay with Microsoft, and I apologize for not being able to directly answer your question, but thank you for asking it regardless. Yes, sir.
Question on mobile Outlook.
Okay.
While you so graciously talked about Windows ecosystem, Android. Will you sync to Android?
Something that I'm avoiding the areas that I can't talk about. Google doesn't support Exchange ActiveSync, which is Microsoft's platform for syncing Exchange as of right now. But I can't say any more on that. Just really anchor your mind on the fact that I said as of right now. Yes, sir.
To put 8 on a 7 machine, do you have to wipe out the drive, or will it put itself on?
No. Chances are with Windows 7, you have the most success for being able to retain all of your programs and files without any compatibility issues. If that's something you're concerned about, on the Windows website, there's a free tool you can download, which is a Windows 8 compatibility checker, and it'll actually run, and it'll scan your PC just the way the actual Windows 8 installer would, and let you know exactly what will work and what might not work and what will definitely not work. A great question. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, but we have no more time for questions. But we do have a store in South Park Mall if you got more of them.